Heyo everybody, Haku here, and today we are going to be discussing, kind of reviewing, part 1 of Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku. Restart part 1. So, yeah, I said part 1 at both the beginning and the end of that sentence, so, sorry, screwed up with that. But yeah, I don't know. I love Restart. I've said it a bunch of times that Restart is my favorite thing I've ever read. Just period. When it comes to light novels or manga or anything, it's just my favorite thing I've read. And at first I wasn't sure whether to do like an actual discussion here for part 1 or just wait for part 2 to be done and just do one discussion for the whole arc. But I wanted to do a part 1 discussion. I wanted to do each book. So if any of you are new to all this, I watched the anime way back when it aired and reviewed it, and then I read the entire series on the channel from the very beginning, did discussion videos, rankings, stuff like that, all the way up to Queens, and then I fell out of it and had to take a hiatus. So now, before I continue on with Queens, I'm going through and rereading, and each time I finish one of the novels rereading, I'm going to do a discussion on it. I'm just going to sit here and talk to you all. I wasn't 100%, because this is just like the first half of the arc. I wasn't exactly sure all of what I wanted to say in this video, so I asked around, I put out a post on Twitter, the community tab, everything, and was like, hey, not 100% what I'm going to say here, so if you have any specific topics you want me to cover, let me know. And nobody said anything. So I'm just going to talk about the series with no specific topics in mind. Going to talk about the anime a bit too, because we're going to get an adaptation, and of course I'm extremely excited because, like I said, it is my favorite thing I've read. I just feel like with the leaps and bounds that your average anime quality has come in the 7 years since the anime for the first book, well, I guess the first season, the first arc, since then, like, anime in general has advanced so much, and Restart's content is so good that I'm extremely excited for the anime just because I want to see Restart animated. I want to see how big of an improvement can be made, and if it is a really good adaptation, then I can't even imagine, because the first season is what brought me into the series. I can't imagine if Restart gets a really great adaptation, how many fans that could bring into the series. It could be nuts. So that's something to be really, really excited about. Something that I've said before rereading this, and that I've seen a bunch of people saying, is hopefully it's too core. And generally, for me, I have seen a lot more bad adaptations because things were rushed and things were crammed together in too short a space than because things were drawn out. So I've been a part of the people saying, yeah, it should be too core. But honestly, after rereading and because I've already started reading part 2, I'm a little bit further in, but after rereading, I really think it could just work as one core and just be even with additional stuff from episodes added in like they did with season 1, I still think that the content for Restart could fit into 12, 13 episodes and be really, really good. Just a solid, quickly paced 13 episodes, but not having to rush or leave anything out. I think it's totally doable. Before rereading, I was like, oh, it needs to be 2 core. And I'd be happy if it is. It might be a little bit drawn out, but if they're adding in extra stuff that helps, develop the characters further, again, throw in some more stuff from episodes, nothing to complain about. But while stepping away from the anime side of things to talk about the actual content in here, I think the one big point that I want to say in any discussion about Restart is the thing that, as I've been reading the entire series over the years that I've done it, I've always said that Restart does one thing way, 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 way better than any of the other arcs. And that's what sets Restart apart to me as the best. As much as I would give the other arcs I'd be 8 out of 10 for this one, 9 out of 10 for this one. Restart to me is 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10. And the reason for that is that while a lot of the other arcs will give us these magical girls and we'll get these fights, and the fights are really good, the characterization's really good, the story's really good, we develop these characters a lot as magical girls, and for the most part, we don't even get to know them as people. But what Restart does, and what I think is the brilliance of the like 3 days on, 3 days off system of how the game works, is that we don't just get to know all of these characters as magical girls. We don't just get to look at Detic Bell or Pechka. We get to look at Chica, or I forget Detic Bell's real name. We get to look at them both as magical girls and learn about them and their lives there, but we get to learn about who they are and who their lives are as people. A big one is we get a bunch of stuff with Flan Shadowgale as Kanoe and Momori. And I think that's like the biggest thing that sets Restart apart as an arc and makes it so much better than the others, even though I love the others, is the development that we get for the characters on a more personal level. The more that we look like at them as people. And I think that's the big selling point for me. That's the one big thing that sets Restart apart. Now in addition to that, like the story's just extremely good. The characters are just very good. The action is good. The setup is incredible. I love the setup. The way that the game works, the way that the characters go from area to area. Again, the 3 days on, 3 days off system with the checkpoint at the end when they're about to log out, and there's always something crazy that happens there. And then when there's not something crazy that happens, it makes you as a reader go, okay, nothing crazy happened this time. Like, it's all so well done. The team system, where they're split into teams of 4 for the most part of the arc, is again really good. And it just I don't know, I like the way we see certain groups of characters together, and it also makes you start feeling more for like Team Pechka, because that team keeps all 4 members for nearly the entire runtime of the 2 books. So when you're going through, you're seeing all these other teams losing members, and you're getting to know those characters, but you can look at Team Pechka more as a unit, or Team Clantail, whatever you want to call them, and I don't know, I think it's really good to have that team stick together for almost the entirety of the whole 2 books, because then the ending, it makes it even crazier, but again, that's part 2. So yeah, I love the beginning stuff here, the stuff with Magical Daisy and with Pechka. We focused up mostly on them in the very early game of part 1, and I think the stuff is really good. The Akane mystery throughout the first half of the first half is very good. In addition to the Akane mystery, the little small hints they give at the Children of Cranberry stuff, or Cranberry, and the small hints they give at the Melville stuff, like what Melville's doing, is really good. When, I forget who it was, I think it might have been Pechka, but where one of the characters, I'm pretty sure it's Pechka, is like, I smell roses. Oh well, and then like goes about, they're like, it's weird that it smells kind of like roses here in the wasteland area. And it's, of course, we as readers can like figure out the hint is that the reason there was this weird smell of roses and it seemed oddly familiar because of the cranberry stuff. But the reason she smelled it was because Melville was lurking around. It's so good, and that's like the part of the story where we just have Melville leave the rest of her team, so we don't really know what she's up to because of that. All the stuff with that is extremely well done. The way it's just slowly built throughout the books and kept a mystery for almost the entire time is really good. And how like you're this kind of getting into part 2 stuff, but how you're very suspicious of Melville because she looks so much like Cranberry, and because she does end up, spoilers, I guess, I mean, you're watching a review, spoilers, like Melville's the one killing a bunch of the characters, but it's actually, she isn't the, and I'll talk more about this when I do my video on part 2, but she isn't the killer, and it's actually Nokko-chan, and Nokko-chan has been doing it without killing anybody, which is just another cool thing. Being the Demon Lord, I mean. So then when they take her out, everybody has to be like, or everybody left at that point, there's barely anyone, has to be like, wait, the game didn't end, it wasn't actually Melville. It's so well done. let me just check my notes. Of course, Shadowgale's my favorite character, but I really loved all the characters here. I really felt bad for all of them. Again, you really get to feel bad for them. Even characters that are a little more one-note, like Chairna Mouse, I just felt awful. I felt awful for Chairna Mouse. Even though Chairna Mouse is kind of a jerk for a lot of it, it's like you can have a character be kind of a jerk. You can have a character be a little one-note, but then feel really, really bad for them because they're all forced to play this game. And it's like, even if she was a little bit of a jerk is not like a death sentence, you know? And Fall is incredibly written. I love Fall as a character, especially in starting Fall out here. I really, really love, again, just the take on Fav was the super evil mastermind behind Unmarked. So again, you have to be weary of them. But Fall's just actually genuinely a good guy who doesn't want to go along with Keek's plans, who's trying to make plays against Keek even. I think that's so good. And then something else about Melville I forgot to mention is that I think it's actually better. So going through and rereading, I have the physical volumes on my bookshelf here behind my setup. I'm reading the physical volumes. And one thing that I liked about reading my first time through is whenever I do the reactions to the character designs for the arc coming up, I have whoever gives it to me like sort of either not translate it or blur out the names and abilities. So I go into it without knowing the characters' names or abilities. And what I like about that is it made Melville even more mysterious because I didn't know Melville's power. We're kind of hinted at the beginning that it's camouflage and all the other characters are like, oh, she has a camouflage ability. But we don't know, like, with changing the screens on the magical phones or with some of the other shenanigans that go on with Melville, you don't know that the power goes that far. So you don't know to be suspicious of Melville in this situation, and there are other characters who seem more suspicious given the situation. But then I think that's one negative thing when you're reading the physical version. They have the names of the characters' powers at the very beginning in the front of the book. So going into it a bit more about what each of their powers are. I just kind of like that being a surprise as you go through and read the story. That's like one thing I dislike, and that's not even really anything to do with the story. I guess maybe even not even a dislike is a way to put it. I mentioned the setup of the game being great, the way the areas work, the way the different shops work. All of that is just written and integrated in the story really, really well, and it's actually really important to the progression. So all of that's great. I guess anything else? The only thing I have left in my notes, I think, is the master side stuff. I think the use of the master side stuff is great because we get to see Snow White come in the way that she does, but also, and again, Snow White being introduced fighting Flamey at the beginning, and then at the end we're seeing Keek at each of the master sides coming into Keek's room at the very end. The last master side in the book is really good. But I like that because every time we're spending the entirety of the chapter focusing on the game, focusing on the main story, focusing on the main characters, and then we get this curveball right at the end, just a nice little page or two, maybe three, of what's going on behind the scenes with Keek and Fall and then Snow White coming into things. It's really extremely well done. And then I can't wait to talk about I can't wait until I do my part 2 video. I get to talk again more about Melville and Nokko-chan and more about the Children of Cranberry stuff. That's going to be really, 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 really good. But yeah, I'll just end this here. Just wanted to do a bit of a discussion, review it a bit. Once I finish off, again, my goal is I'm doing a million other things, but one of my, I've set daily goals for myself. Like each day I will work out for an hour, read a chapter of something in Japanese, read 10 pages of Magical Girl Raising Project. So at least 10, I usually do a little bit more than 10 because I can't stop reading, but I'm doing at least 10 pages a day. So maybe once or twice a month I'll be finishing. I mean, once we get out of the part 1, part 2, limited, the books get a bit longer. But yeah, maybe every month or two, or every month or maybe twice a month is maybe a better way to put that. I'll do another one of these. Then once we're back at Queens, I'll go back to doing the read-throughs. Before I go back to doing read-throughs, though, or though I will do a new updated character ranking after my reread. But yeah, either way, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much. So yeah, plenty more Magical Girl Raising Project is coming. Right now I'm just rereading on my own so that I can do these reviews and then get back to a more scheduled read-through sort of thing once I get back to Queens. But yeah, either way, that's it. Thank you so much. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you think of part 1 of Restart, what you thought of my thoughts on it and stuff. Not incredibly detailed, not really a lot of notes or anything, just a couple bullet points. I guess subscribe for much more on the channel, including Magical Girl Raising Project. Follow on Twitter if you want to. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone, so just ask and I can give you a link. And if you would like to help support the channel, I mean, you could drop a super thanks down below. That'd be totally appreciated. Or you could become a patron or channel member. Patrons and channel members get One Piece a few days early and also get a shout out at the end of every single video. So thank you to people that are patrons and channel members. Thank you to Chosen Regular Evan Holly, Magical Girls, FR Nono, Huarian, and Smeller Dog, Cheriton Student, David Langstaff, and Slayer Candidate SG. Massive thank you to them for all of their support, and massive thank you to all of you for your support, for watching, commenting, doing all that stuff. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time.